looking at the declaration of martial law here, is this a bit of a desperate step? Is this an acknowledgement that perhaps the Russians don't have as much control in these areas that they claim they do?
Well, of course it is. So in the 1991 referendum, when Ukraine got its independence, there were significant majorities in those areas to be part of Ukraine. And one of the reasons it's been imposed, of course, is that there's been very successful partisan warfare going on in lots of these oblasts. We were talking about the war after the war in the early days, but this is the war during the war. You've got the conventional operations and the partisan warfare going on at the same time. And if you look historically at the period from 1945 to 2011, in 71 insurgencies, or where there was a war after the war, where someone like Ukraine has either a safe haven or outside support, there's never an example when they have not been successful.
Well, if we just go back to the beginning of this invasion earlier in the year, I mean, many people originally thought that it was going to be over quite quickly because the Russians will claim victory. It's now turned into a protracted war, some people may argue, and the Ukrainians are continuing to fight with our support. I mean, what do you see or imagine going forward? I mean, do you think that this could take years, or if there's more that the Western forces should be doing to facilitate Ukrainian victory?
Well, of course I do, but from a Putin's perspective, he is looking for the winter clock to lead to his. That is, he sees the sort of politics of cold and potentially the politics of hunger, because the grain deal is only valid until the 19th of November. So that it needs to be either renegotiated or he could pull the plug there. He could also, of course, go after the grain supplies, the grain storage facilities of the Ukrainians, of which he either controls or destroys 16%. If he did that, then that would also lead to the politics of hunger potentially in the West and wider. So I think what he's doing is trying to hold the line. The tempo of operations will slow down during the winter, and he hopes that either by asymmetric methods, that's either hybrid war with economic coercion to the West, or by the West getting tired of the war, that this will lead to some sort of ceasefire and negotiated settlement by the spring. That is his gamble at the moment.
Really, really profound stuff there. I just can't help but think of all of the parallels to Britain in the 1940s with those doodle bugs, V1, V2 rockets going overhead, trying to do down the spirit of the Brits. Well, actually, what happened was a blitz spirit, a United Kingdom coming together in the face of that aggression, and potentially a more unifying thing. Just in our last 30 seconds or so, Major General, is that a possibility that Putin is actually driving the Ukrainian people closer together?
He has. It's not armies that fight wars, it's nations that fight wars. In 2014 with Crimea, he thought he raised in and gathered up the Crimean people of 2 million. He did that at the expense of 44 million in Ukraine who awoke to their nationhood.